Hello, everyone. Welcome to BraveHearts. This is Ling. This is the first day of CPAC 2021, and together with me is Father Frank Pavone, and he's the National Director for Priests for Life, and he's a well-famous anti-abortion activist, and fully respect for that. And so, Father Pavone, can you tell us, so what's the current situations about, anti-abortion movements in the religious community? Because I know many people kind of think it for natural. I mean, if you are a religious believer, you will be pro-life anyway, right? So why do you actually need a special campaign in order to be anti-abortion?
Yes. Well, many people say to me when they hear the title Priests for Life, well, isn't every priest for life? And I say, well, priests are for life, but we just help them to say so. Many of them are afraid to speak up about it, as strange as that might sound. The Catholic Church's teaching, of course, has been very clear and stable for a long time. Some other denominations actually have taken more of a pro-choice position or a mixed position, but that's changing now for the better. People are coming around to realize, as most American people are uncomfortable with how wide our permission for abortion is under our legal system. We're one of only a few countries that permit it throughout the pregnancy, although some states have different limits. But in the religious community, there is a lot of apathy. There is a lot of fear. They may say, you often hear this, they'll say, oh, I think abortion is wrong, I would never do it. But if someone else wants to do it, that's none of my business. And what
I want to be in the front to be against it.
No,
right?
that's right. And we're trying to tell them, wait a minute, it is your business, not because we're supposed to interfere or control other people's lives. That's not what we want to do. It's because we're supposed to help other people in need. So if someone is abusing their child, God forbid, well, we all know that's our business, even though that's not our child. If someone else is abusing the child, somebody has to step in. If someone's child is starving, well, I don't want to control your life, but I want to save your child. And that's the attitude that we in the Priests for Life try to instill in the religious believers.
So, no matter your belief, what kind of denomination, what kind of belief you are, because fundamental issue is any baby, any infants, they are a life form, right? So we came from communist China.
Yes.
Yeah, so we understand, like,
yes.
The forced abortion happened such a systematic way in the past. And so in China, we saw so many videos, image that those baby were killed, even like 8, 9 months.
Yes.
Right before delivery, they kill them, and so those are very horrible pictures. But people have to face the reality. So, but in the U.S., do you also face similar objections? So when you present this hard reality to people, and people say this is actually not ideal way to present this issue.
I am well known for a saying that I often repeat: America will not reject abortion until America sees abortion. We have long been advocates for showing these pictures. And so many people who are involved in the pro-life movement, even those who, like myself, have gotten into leadership in the movement, if you ask them how they got involved, it's amazing how many of them will say it was because of one of those pictures that I saw. Because a picture cuts through the slogans. We can rationalize anything. But when you see the reality of what it does to the baby, it cuts down to the truth and it bypasses all the confusing rhetoric and the arguments and so forth. So yes, we do that. We have various campaigns here in America to show people these pictures. In fact, I even am on the board of another organization that takes these pictures and puts them on the sides of trucks. And they go on the busy highway and even tow banner airplanes bringing these pictures. Because, the reality is that when people do see that, we're not trying to judge or condemn anybody. When we show them these pictures, we are also saying, we are here to help you. If you've had an abortion, we want to give you forgiveness. We want to give you healing. And that's a big part of our work as well. So it's not just, you just go showing people these terrible things. But people need to see the truth. When you think about it, we've in history, we've seen it used in various other circumstances. We show pictures of the Holocaust. We show pictures of even something like trying to prevent smoking. Anti-smoking campaigns in the United States showed a lot of very disturbing pictures about what it does to one's lungs and so on and so forth. We know that people need to see the reality.
So in your campaigns, did you ever encounter some of the, for example, young parents, young moms, they change their mind after they see some of these pictures?
Oh, yes, very much so. I have stood out on street corners holding some signs. People have come up and saw those signs and they've said, I had scheduled an abortion, but I can never do that to my baby. Because no one ever told them what it does to the baby. You know, I've stood with these signs even at abortion clinics. And mothers who had appointments to go in there, they would stop in their tracks and they would say, is that what is going on in here? So, you know, to those who are pro-choice or those who even run organizations that advocate pro-choice, what I ask them is, shouldn't the woman know what she's choosing? And to those who defend abortion, I ask them, well, why don't you describe what you defend? If I stood on a corner holding a sign of an aborted baby, and I wasn't dressed like this, and I didn't say anything, and I wasn't handing out any literature, and the sign didn't have any words on it, would people think that I was for or against what I was showing? They would know I was against it. Why? Because it's so horrible to see.
So in these kind of public campaigns, and you realize a lot of the states actually have funding to support those Planned Parenthood, all these. So besides the public educations, is there any efforts to change the state legislations?
Definitely. We work with state legislators. We educate them. We encourage people to lobby and get to know their state legislators. And we work with various national groups that design model laws that states can implement. Americans United for Life and National Right to Life are two of the leading groups that do that. So that's very much part of our agenda. And now we are seeing, right now we are in a period of time when the state legislatures are meeting and they are doing their work. And we are already seeing here in 2021 a lot of pro-life laws being proposed in the states. You know, the states have a lot more confidence now to pass pro-life laws because of so many pro-life judges that President Trump put on the courts. There were nearly 300 of them. And so now these pro-life laws have more of a chance of passing a court challenge.
I see. Talking from more global pictures, for anti-abortion movements, and does it have a strong support from the Holy See to push it more globally? Yes,
we at Priests for Life are working closely with international organizations. We work at the United Nations, and the Holy See is there with us, of course, pushing for the protection of the unborn, pushing against the efforts of Planned Parenthood and other groups to make abortion. What they want to do is they want to make it an international right, so that even if a country decides that they want to protect the unborn children, they will face pressure, even if it's not legally binding, they will face pressure to say, well, no, you shouldn't be doing that because it's anti-woman. And so the Holy See is very strong in saying, you know, when we talk about reproductive health and reproductive rights, we should not be including the idea of abortion in that. So yes, we work side by side. The Pope has said very strong things about abortion. We've always worked closely with the Holy Father's nuncio to the United Nations, and also the Association of American States. We are a presence there as well. It's a global fight. We are all together in it, because here's the beautiful thing. No matter what differences we have nationally or in any other way, to be pro-life is simply to be pro-human. And all you have to do is be alive to realize that it's a good idea to defend life.
And considering the communist Chinese government is one of the main government that actually allows abortions or even forced sterilizations, right. So what do you think about the right now the Holy See actually have a secret deal with communist China?
Yes, many people are confused about that, including myself, because all the details of that, as you know, have not been divulged to us. What exactly is this agreement of the Vatican with the Chinese government? We don't know. And it would be, I think it's more healthy if we all do know, so that everyone can weigh in and say, is this the best thing for our countries? Is this the best thing for the world? So we have to, no matter what any kind of agreements are made, one thing is clear. Nobody has the authority to agree to suppress human rights. Every government and every church is at the service of humanity. And this, of course, is something that the Catholic Church has always taught, that whether it's a church, a government, an economy, anything, it always has to be at the service of the human person, not the other way around.
But right now, under the communist regime, they always, the CCP always put themselves above the constitution and above all the deities, all the gods the Chinese people traditionally believe. They think they are the mighty power. They have all the power to control every aspect of Chinese people's life, right?
Yes.
So how do you think spiritually the religious community can be a stronger voice against the communist aggressions?
Yes, the proclamation of the gospel is that Jesus Christ is Lord. And right just in those 3 words, Jesus is Lord, you have a direct challenge against that kind of an idea that you just mentioned, how some of these governments will operate. The church must preach with clarity and courage and consistency. It starts with the preaching. God gave us the word. When he commissions us to preach his word, we're taught it is a living word. It has power to change people, but it has to be announced clearly and consistently. And that would always be my first concern, that, are we preaching clearly? There is only one Lord and Master of human life, Jesus Christ. The more persuasively we can preach that, the more we can show people he's a real living person, we can have a relationship with him, and the more we can say what Pope John Paul II used to say all the time, be not afraid. What he meant was, don't be afraid to welcome Christ as your Lord, because he's not going to crush or oppress you. He's not going to take away your freedom. He's going to give you freedom. And that's a message that all of us, whether citizens or government leaders, need to hear, and the church needs to be clear about that.
But right now, fear seems to be a very effective tool for the far left right now, right? They through the big tech, through the censorship, through the media's campaign. So a lot of people actually have fears in their heart that they don't want to speak out against the truth. So how can people improve on this kind of situation?
Sometimes we have to develop alternate mechanisms, and that's one of the things that's being discussed here at this conference that we're at this weekend. People need to come together and find new ways. Certain companies are trying to dictate, here are the limits of your speech. And we've got to have alternatives. Here in America, of course, the First Amendment is very, very strong. And, even people who disagree ideologically in various court cases will often come together to defend that right of speech. It's under unprecedented attack, but people are very creative. We're telling people that, speak up one way or the other. If you can't use a particular social media platform, gather together and have a rally in the street, print up literature, use the main thing is that people don't stop, that people must not grow tired or stand back and say, oh, there's nothing I can do. There's always something you can do. You organize with like-minded people and come up with peaceful and creative ways to get your message out.
So, under current situation, is there any nationwide movements to have bigger prayers for the future of United States? Because many people feel right now U.S. is on the speed train to the far left, right? So more prayers will be needed.
There are many prayer campaigns. We lead some of them, and so many organizations like you see here at this conference. They're just we can hardly keep track of them all. And many of these organizations have national prayer campaigns going on. So yes, it's not. And interestingly, it's not always through the organized churches. Many of these prayer campaigns are believers coming together on their own initiative. Ministries like mine, are just people coming together who they belong to their churches. Some of them, they say, well, we wish we had this in our churches, but since we don't, we'll come together under another umbrella. But you look at, that's where the vibrancy is in a lot of these independent ministries. Again, I work in the pro-life movement across denominational lines. We're getting together every day with evangelicals, with Baptists. I'm a Catholic priest, but we're all together in what you just said, praying for our nation, that we avoid this turn to the hard left, and we not repeat the mistakes of history including in our own country, but rather move forward with a commitment to freedom.
Thank you, Father Pavone. Thank you for accepting the interviews, and I hope all the prayers will work magically.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for watching BraveHearts. This is Sean Ling. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
great.
so much.
Good work. Good
Thank
work.
you. Thank you.